Hi Tantric Travelers, and welcome to your Sagittarius birthday party. Happy birthday Sagittarius, and happy holidays and beautiful winter solstice, and in the southern hemisphere summer solstice season. It is such a wonderful time of year when we come to these crossings of the light portals and the beginning of new cycles, as well as the letting go of old cycles. So I'm very happy to be celebrating with you. You'll probably hear a cat meowing because one of the kitties that lives here is very determined to be a part of this reading today, but I feel like he might have a little mischief in mind. You know, a little elven mischief in mind. Little Sagittarius troublemaker he could be. So I'm not going to open the door for the kitty, but I am going to open the door for the immensely lucky, beautiful, expansive energy of the ruler of Sagittarius, who is the god Jupiter, the big old sugar daddy. So that's kind of part of the whole Santa Claus energy, is the energy of Zeus, of Jove, of Jupiter, and that is the ruler of Sagittarius. Right now, Jupiter is in the sign of Pisces and has been for not so long, but for about 4 consecutive months. And well, I love when Jupiter is in Pisces because Pisces is spiritual growth and, you know, the soul's gravitational pull and accomplishing our soul mission, and really sort of awakening layers of our multidimensional consciousness, which occurs in the house of Pisces. And when Jupiter is in Pisces, that is expanding, increasing, gaining momentum, gaining luck, gaining blessings, all of which are ruled by the planet Jupiter. So if you're a Sagittarius, you've been feeling these things probably more now. The spiritual expansion, we all have been. Jupiter is an immense body of gases and one of the brightest stars and most consistent stars for us to view in the night sky. So Jupiter is always casting a beautiful shine, a beautiful sparkle of luck and guidance for us, almost always. And I've really loved Jupiter in Pisces season, and on December the 20th at the equinox, Jupiter will go into Aries for quite an extended period, and won't be in Pisces again from our perspective for another 11 years until 2033. So there are a lot of predictive sort of possibilities for what's going to happen in those 11 years. And a few years ago, even before the pandemic, I also did some in-depth readings, and the year 2033 came up as being very significant as a point on the time-space continuum where we could really count that the world had actually turned a cycle of its own, and that we were moving on a different path of healing and expansion ourselves here on Earth. So let's all send our positive energy towards that, our prayers, wishes, our Christmas lists, and I wish you happy holidays for this solstice season and for any other holidays or celebrations that you, your friends, and your family enjoy. And I want to talk a little bit about Sagittarius. So this is the 12th of a year-long cycle that I began with the sign and the house of Capricorn last January. And I had a birthday party for every single house and sign since then. And I'm really satisfied that I managed to fulfill my promise to you guys, Tantric Travelers, and do that. And it's been really interesting. It's been a really profound learning experience for me to pull in the energy of each of the signs, each of the houses, and to try and express that and relate that to you beautiful Tantric Travelers who are all feeling the same energies too. And Sagittarius in the Western zodiac is the 12th house. There is supposedly a 13th hidden house, but we're not going to go into that right now. We can all feel it though. But Sagittarius is the 12th house. Oh wait, no, Sagittarius is the 12th month. Hold on, let me back up a second here, because Pisces is actually the 12th house of the zodiac. But if you start the natural house of, and that's if you start at Aries as being the first house in, a completely aligned turning of the zodiacal wheel. But because I began reading in Capricorn last year, we're going with January as month number 1 and December as month number 12. So pardon me for that, but this is the 12th reading, or actually the 11th reading, because I combined 2 in the summertime. But this is wrapping up a beautiful solar year cycle that we began together last January. Sorry, I'm distracted by the crows and ravens flying over. So we began last January, and I was in a completely different country, completely different climate. And as the wheel turned, I moved around, and you probably did too. And between, around this time, or January of last year, and what has occurred and where we're at collectively at this time this year, I think there's been a huge sigh of relief and a huge release of stress and pressure for all of us. And I think the end of 2022 is really going out on a very buoyant sort of wave, and I'm happy to share that with you. And I feel that Jupiter is part of that. So if you're a Sagittarius, you're really carrying and expressing that energy more than any other sign. And thank you for that. And I wanted to share a little bit of research that I did for you guys on some important Sagittarian energies before we get into our collective pick a card reading for everybody. But for Sagittarius, the sign of Sagittarius rules some people and places besides you guys. And I do have some really good Sagittarius friends, and I find you to be extremely playful. You love playing, and you love games, and you love being active physically with your body and playing in the physical realm and playing between the earth and the air. There's jumping, there's dancing, there's balls and frisbees and discs being thrown around, and there's, the sign of Sagittarius is the archer, and it's a man's body, a human body with an animal's legs and haunches, like a deer maybe. And that's really beautiful. There's a lot of sort of future forward energy with Sagittarius, with the arrow being about to be released, which means the sun will be, hitting its apogee on the earth will be hitting its apogee the farthest point away from the sun, and that is occurring now, in the middle of December, and then at the solstice we start moving back towards the sun. So it is a very secretive time in some ways. It's a very hidden time. It's a time for making plans. It's a time for finishing things up. And Sagittarians are very good at, and you're doing all of this very quickly, because it's kind of the wrap up and the getting ready for the next cycle all in one. So you guys tend to do these things, and you make very quick, ambitious moves in your lives, and you have the energy to kind of see where you've just come from and see where you've run from, and then launch yourself while you're launching an arrow to your point of ambition, to your goal. And that is what planet Earth is kind of doing right now on our journey around our beautiful solar parent. So Sagittarius is ruled by fire and tend to be very fiery people. In many different ways. There's a lot of childlike energy, but there's a certain spiritual seriousness that I've noticed in Sagittarians that begins when they're very young. It's kind of a glint in the eye of some kind of a deeper knowledge. And although that is true, there's also a lot of enjoyment of, the surface material, social knowledge, science, investigation, curiosity, are some of the words that come to mind when I think of Sagittarian energy. There's definitely a muscular sort of facet to Sagittarians, and that's kind of like, you know, the band of the arrow being pulled back, the string of the arrow, or like kind of like the elastic band effect. So Sagittarians can be very flexible. They can be very fearless. And if you are one of those people, I also caution you to not burn yourself out by doing too much too soon or too much too quickly. So the fire element, yes, along with Aries and Leo. And some of the most famous people that I've noticed, and I've been reading about as Sagittarians in history, I've noticed there are a lot of warriors, a lot of leaders, you know, very charismatic leaders, people who speak and communicate well and can motivate groups of people into going in their direction. And there are also some really amazing artists and musicians and composers. So I'm going to read you some of this list. So the warriors, we have Crazy Horse, who was a famous indigenous Native American warrior who fought the battle at Little Bighorn. And he was a Sagittarius, so he's got that horse energy and the crazy energy even in his name. And his opponent, or the leader of the other side, who was General Custer of, you know, the white dudes. He was also a Sagittarius. He was the leader of the cavalry, and he was renowned as being, you know, a very sort of larger than life, lucky, playful. He loved to party. You know, his soldiers and his men, his people, loved him and looked up to him. But unfortunately, unfortunately for that side, and in these kind of, you know, situations of war, there are a lot of losers, and Crazy Horse and Sitting Bull and their soldiers, their warriors, won that battle by a long shot. So that's an interesting historical context. Also, Winston Churchill, Bruce Lee, who was an amazing warrior and had that famous, I think it was called the lightning punch, which, you know, you could kill someone but with just one punch. You could defeat an opponent. That's that kind of Sagittarian energy, but also that spiritual centeredness and focus that Bruce Lee really, you know, embodied and emanated. So Stalin, Churchill, Franco, Mary, Queen of Scots. So we have a feminine in here who is also a very charismatic, surprising, passionate, and commanding leader. We also have, for artists, we have Jane Austen, who wrote anonymously while she was alive, and her books are just so insightful as far as the manner and the social surface, and what lay beneath it in the time and the place that she lived in, and still live on today and are relevant today, especially to feminines, and the way that we can relate in a quote-unquote man's world. So she wrote Sense and Sensibility, Pride and Prejudice. Edith Piaf and Sinead O'Connor, two amazing singers and artists, were also, Sinead is and Edith was a Sagittarius. And you can hear that fire in both of their voices. I love it. Jimi Hendrix, Jim Morrison, Ozzy, and Kirk Douglas, who was an amazing actor and had that really like that red-headed, fiery Sagittarian energy too, and he played such amazing roles, and he was so iconic and is so iconic in his time, which was the height of Hollywood and American culture, and he even played roles which were about the height of Rome and Roman culture. So it was kind of this interesting, and the downfall of Roman culture too, was kind of this interesting juxtaposition. But he had the body. He had the Sagittarian body. So that's kind of interesting. As far as places, so countries that are ruled by Sagittarius are, some of them Bahamas, Barbados. So, hey, if you're a Sagittarius and it's wintertime where you are, maybe head to Barbados. We also have Cameroon, that beautiful West African country, home of amazing cacao. Australia, Saudi Arabia, Kazakhstan, And there's some really interesting culture and humor that's come out from and around Kazakhstan and the country of Kenya on the east coast of Africa, where so many animals and so much wildlife, including lions and giraffe and antelope, thrive, and hopefully we'll continue to be blessed. We will continue to be blessed on our beautiful planetary parent with the continuity of our beautiful animal companions who embody that same energy, that instinctive fire energy of Sagittarius. So if you're a Sagittarius, you're probably also really attracted to natural places and even animals and nature in general. You may prefer to be outside, and I have my beautiful embroidered deer blouse, blusa de Oaxaca, Mexico. And to me, this is very Sagittarian energy. It's got that, the violet for the spiritual ignition and awakened mind, and it has the beautiful 4 legs and the element of the masculine wild nature that Sagittarius embodies. So yes, it's all for you. Happy birthday. I hope that your celebrations have been and will be fiery and full of fun and games and joy. And good luck in your ambitious year that you're probably about to begin. And good luck to everyone at the end of 2022. It's been a wonderful gallop, and thank you for accompanying me through this and for inspiring me, my fellow Tantric Travelers, to channel this information to you. And now, for everybody, I would like to do a pick of cards. So let's get into it pretty quick. I've already prepared the cards with some Palo Santo, called in our kind wise guides, ancestors, soul family of Atlantis, star family of Sirius, of Lyra, of Venus, of the Pleiades, of Arcturus, Archangelic Alliance, kind wise guides and ancestors, my highest guides, your highest guides, our earth friends and family, and everyone we love, which is everyone, right? So for our reading today, I'm going to try and keep it pretty brief but succinct and fun. I would like to share with you a reading about you, Sagittarius people, and all Tantric Travelers. So the question today is going to be, because Sagittarius is such a launching energy, which is, kind of attracted to things, ambitious and moving forward, but Sagittarius is also deeply spiritual and tends to be magnetic for this kind of knowledge and teaching and philosophy. I would like to ask your guides and ancestors to tell me about you and what you will be, what you are most beneficially attracted to. What brings you luck in what you are attracted to? What are you attracted to, and how is it lucky for you? And also, what are you attracting? And what will you be magnetizing as we begin this new spin around the sun on December the 20th, 21st? And as the sun moves into Capricorn at that time. So your 3 choices. So what are you attracting and what are you magnetized to? So this is such a beautiful item that I found. I don't really buy a lot of things for Christmas, but I'm going to light it now to celebrate with you. It's a pine cone candle. Uh-oh. No, my lighter's not going to work. And I usually have 5 around. One moment, I'll see if I can pause this.